Chapter 22, The Parade. It was spring 1978, and we had the divine service, wonderful divine service, and the children sang as usual for 45 minutes. I was hugging the children and said them goodbye, and I told them that I would pray for them during the week. But there were two girls who wouldn't go home. Mirella was crying, and her sister Daniela. And I asked them, what's going on? Why don't you go home? Mirella said, because every Sunday evening when we come home from church, our mother beats us very badly because she's a communist. She does not believe in God. She hates that we joined the children's choir 3 years ago. We became Christians, we became enemies. I immediately hugged them and started to pray for them. A few other children who heard the conversation joined me in prayer. I prayed that God would bless Mirella and Daniela, and I wanted to encourage them. I told them, you have been in the choir for 3 years, and you never missed one Sunday. You always came here morning and evening. Every practice you came the first. Snow or rain or wind, weather, you came to church. You never were absent, not even once. So God will bless you for that very much. And I also told Mirella, you recite poems for the choir so well. You study so well all the poems, you know them by heart. And Daniela, I told her, your voice is so unique. I prayed for them and they went home. Now Mirella was 12. She was quiet, green eyes, hair, dark hair on her shoulder. Her sister, who was 10, she was full of life, never stopped talking. But she had a beautiful voice, very beautiful voice, and they both gave their lives to the Lord. They prayed as they entered the block. Now they lived in a block of flats on Bachlui River, Nicolina. They went there at their block, took the elevator to the 3rd floor, and Mirella took her keys to open the door. They tiptoed as they entered the house, hoping not to wake up their parents. And sure enough, their parents were asleep, sound asleep. They did not wake up. On their tiptoes, they went in the kitchen. Now their house, their flat, was lovely and rich. They had Persian carpets on the floor, and they had oak furniture because their parents were communists, and they had big salaries. They had good food. The kitchen was always full of the most wonderful smells of food. I went in the kitchen, and they took each a slice of baked cake. They went to bed very happy that their parents did not wake up to beat them up. Second day, it was Monday, their parents went to work at 6 o'clock. At 7 o'clock, they woke up to go to school. Their school was nearby the block. It was a school with 3 floors, and there the teachers told them that God did not exist, that the Communist Party was God, the president was God, and everything they had was through the Communist Party. That day, the director of the school told the children, "Watch out, May the 1st is coming, and we need to parade that day to give glory to the Communist Party. We need to praise the president for the blessings he gives to the people, for all the clothes they give us, the shoes. The Communist Party gives us everything, the food, our jobs. They give us our doctors." So on this day and on the 23rd of August, there are holy days for the Communist Party. You need to be there to give your praise for the president and the Communist Party. That day at school, the teachers reminded them that on the day 1st of May, all the children had to be in Delu Kopo Hill, at the top of the Kopo Hill. And they have to come in communist uniforms for parades. That was short skirts, all sorts of colors, blue, red, yellow. And the boys, short pants in all sorts of colors. On that morning, Mirela and Daniela woke up and went straight to the meeting point. That day, the town was full of people. There were kiosks with lemonades, selling sausages and selling popcorn. The smell of food and the smell of celebration was everywhere. Thousands and thousands of people came in their parade costumes, ready to parade. As they arrived there, the teacher reminded them that they will wait there until their turn comes. When they arrive in the center of the city, there will be the fanfare military orchestra. There will be television there filming everything, and high official of the Communist Party. It's very possible, they said, the president himself will be there. When you arrive, when you reach the center of the city, in front of the tribune, the orchestra will play, the drums will beat, and at a certain point, you all need to kneel down and bow down your face to the ground. When you will do that, your bodies will write. For those who will read it from the tribune, they can read "Glory to the Communist Party," praise to Nicolae Ceausescu, praise to the Son of Man, to the Son of Peace, bringer of happiness. Mirela and Daniela, her sister, were there waiting for the parade to begin. They got very tired, and Mirela thought, my parents hate me, the teachers hate me. I'm so persecuted, and I hate to be forced to worship the God of communism. This is forbidden. And Mirela knew that these slogans, praise to the Communist Party, glory to the Communist Party, bringer of happiness, bringer of peace, were taken from the Bible, and they only belonged to God and to Jesus. She knew that it was absolutely horrible to worship the president. But she had no choice. Nobody could leave the parade. The streets were blocked. If anybody tried to escape, he would have been punished, or she would have been punished. Mirella had a talk with God in her heart. Lord, I'm so sad. Please show me your love for me. She said, I pray, let it rain so everything would be cancelled. I hate to worship the idol of communism. And then she told her sister, Daniela, why don't we pray and ask God to send rain, and the parade would be cancelled. And they smiled at each other and they prayed in whisper. In about 15 minutes or 20 minutes, suddenly, out of the blue, came a few clouds. All that morning was a serene day. Suddenly, it became cloudy. A few raindrops started to fall, but then it rained with cats and dogs, poured with a bucket. Immediately, the loudspeakers were announced that because of heavy rain, the parade was cancelled for that day, and the streets were open for people to go home. Oh, how happy Mirella was, and she knew that God loved her so much that sent the rain especially for her and for her sister. They went home that evening. They were so happy that the parade was cancelled, and God heard their prayer. That evening, they went to bed. They put off the light in their bedroom, and as usual, they knelt down. Mirella and Daniela always prayed before they went to bed, thanking God for His help. But Mirella, suddenly, she heard something at the door and told Daniela, is anybody listening to us at the door? Well, in a moment, her mother opened the door, came in the house, in the room, and shouted at them, To whom are you praying? God does not exist. The Communist Party is God. God does not exist. I started to beat them and pull their hair like this. And not only that, pull them against each other by the hair like this. The girl started to cry and cry and cry. Mirela said, Mom, God does exist, He's in heaven, and He is also here with us. His mother started to swear at Jesus. Then Daniela said, Mom, if you swear one more time at Jesus, I will cry until I die. Because I love Jesus so much, He's so good, He's so sweet. So her mother said, I better have you dead than Christians. I don't care if you die. That evening they went to bed crying, but the Lord helped them to fall asleep. When the children, the girls, came to the choir, they told us how their mothers treated them. And we all prayed that God would change their mother's heart. Well, God answered very quickly. That week, their mother started to feel very sick. She went to the best doctors in Ash because she had the Communist Party membership and she could go to the best doctors in Ash. They put all sorts of tests, made all sorts of tests, and called her husband and told him, your wife suffers of an incurable disease and she's going to die very quickly. The mother knew that her daughters were so sweet. One day she called them and told them, you have been such good girls, helping me, being so sweet and good at school, always obedient. I want to ask you for forgiveness for any time I beat you up, anytime I beat you up when you came back from church and from the choir. And their mother told them, I would like to be a Christian. How can you become a Christian? Can I become a Christian on my sick bed? Mirela said, of course, the only thing is to believe that Jesus Christ is the Son of God, that He died on the cross for you and rose from the dead, and that His blood is enough for the forgiveness of your sins. Mirela explained that to her, and she said, I believe, I believe, I believe. And Mirela also taught her John 3:16. For God so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son, that whoever believes in Him should not perish, but have eternal life. That spring, Mirela and Daniela's mother died. But their father also gave his life to the Lord. The girls were sad to be without a mother, but they were so happy that they would meet her in heaven. Now they thought, Daniela and Mirela, the secret police and the school found out that our parents became Christians. What are they going to do? What will be the consequences? They will have to wait and see. Chapter 23, Hidden Microphones. Julian was at school in the interrogation room. An officer from the secret police, Negro, was asking him, And how many boxes of Bibles did you receive? Julian, tell me. He had a stick in his hand and hit Julian's fingers until they became blue. But Julian learned from his grandfather to answer with avoided answers, not to betray the cause of the Bibles. He pretended he didn't know what he was talking about. What Bibles, Julian said. Negru, the officer, told him, we have a recording. We can put the tape for you. We recorded when you were telling your sister, Corina, there are 50 Bibles in a box. So we ask you how many boxes did you receive? But Julian didn't answer. He looked down and prayed that the Lord would help him. That day, he went home and told Corina, Corina, they recorded our conversation in the dining room. How can that be? Julian was 12. He had curly hair, intelligent eyes, and a nose like a big musician, pointed downward. He inherited humor and intelligence from his grandfather. He talked with Corina outside in the yard. Corina was 1 year older than him. She was 13. Corina said, I don't like our neighbors, those that have the house joined to us. Julian said, I don't like them either. All sorts of strange people come and go from there. And Julian said, I wonder if maybe they have microphones in their house. And Julian thought of a plan. Next day he came from school at 2 o'clock. The neighbors used to come from work at 6 o'clock. The neighbors had a boy. He was about 5, Lionel, and he was all the time playing outside. Julian took some chewing gum in his pocket, and he also put the chewing gum in his mouth. One of those pink chewing gums that you make a balloon out of it. He also took out an autobus, a double-decker, that you can only find in England. A lovely toy. Julian started to play outside. Lionel immediately saw that and asked him, where did you get that? Julian said, well, a friend of my aunt from England brought it to me, gave it to me. Where did you get bubble gum? Because my mother never finds bubble gum of which you can make balloons. And Julian said, here, I can give you this package and I can let you play with the double-decker on the condition that you take me to see your toys in the dining room in your house. Lionel immediately took the package of bubble gum and the double-decker bus and went in the house to show Julian the house. Lionel showed him the whole house. They were communists party members, his parents. They had Persian carpets on the floor. They had oak furniture. And Julian said, you have a nice house. He went straight into the room, into the lounge, the room that was joining to our house, to his house. He looked everywhere. And he saw that there was a reel-to-reel recorder there, straight on a table near the wall. There were microphones, and he asked Lionel, "What is that machine?" Lionel told him, "Officers police brought them here, and told my parents to press on a button and to record any time you speak in your house. And then they come and take the reel-to-reel and give them another one." Oh, that was all Julian needed to know. He gave the bubble gum to the boy and the autobus double-decker and came out. He went home and spoke with his sister. "Corina, I found out how they heard our conversation about the Bibles. They have a reel-to-reel recorder, some microphones next room in our neighbor's house. So we have to be very careful." A few more days passed, and suddenly they heard a beep. They had no radio in the house, they had no electronic equipment, but this beep came from somewhere, like from the stove. And this sound, very high-pitched beep, 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 went on and on. Beep, 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 beep. Julian said, we cannot sleep with that beep. We have to find it out and get rid of it. He kneeled down and looked in the stove and realized that must have been not in the stove, but on the roof in the chimney. His mother told them in whisper that when her husband was alive, the secret police put a microphone in the chimney, and suddenly it went out of order, it went wrong, and started to beep exactly like that. So immediately they decided outside. Julian said, "I am going to go on the roof to get rid of it." Their grandmother walked in the yard to keep watch that no police would come. And Corina held the stair. Julian climbed the stair and went straight on the roof near the chimney. Immediately he pulled a metal string like that, and the metal string had at the end a small microphone as small as a peanut. That was the microphone that went out of order and was beeping. Julian climbed down from the roof and with Corina decided what to do with the microphone. They went in the back of the garden and Julian said, we have to bury it. Corina helped him to bring something to dig a hole. Together they dug a hole and they put the microphone there. They dug the hole big enough and deep enough so the microphone should not be heard outside anymore. Then they covered the hole with the earth, they stepped on it, and Julian and Corina said it's dead, buried. Microphone is dead and buried. They laughed about it and they went back into the house. Julian had to be more careful from that time on, and Corina, to speak in whisper and to watch for any signs of microphones. A week later, Mr. Negru, Officer Negru from the secret police, called Julian in the same room at school and asked him, Julian, what did you do with a microphone? Julian said with a smile, what microphone? Next load of Bibles was distributed with no problems. Chapter 24, The Hiding Place. It was a Sunday evening. That evening there were hundreds of people listening to the sermon of the pastor and listening to the children's choir. I led the children's choir in about 45 minutes of singing. As usual, they sang well and they recited scriptures or poems in between very well. One of the songs they sang that evening was Psalm 91. If you make the Most High your shelter, you'll never be afraid of the terror of night. No harm will come you in the dark of the night. I thought to myself, will the children remember this Psalm 91 that promises us not to be afraid in the dark because God will protect us? Julian was playing guitar with the children's choir and he was 14. Corina, his sister, was 15. They sang in the children's choir since they were small. That evening, they had in the choir their cousins, Bobby and Laura. Bobby was 8. He was a boy with blue eyes, very funny boy. His sister Laura was 10. That evening, Laura was dressed in a velvet dress. Corina was dressed in white blouse and blue skirt, long skirt. The boys were also dressed beautiful clothes for church. Now they took the tram and they came home. They got off the station, George Koshbuk. 10 minutes of train riding from church to Kopo. Now, Corina and Julian never were afraid to come home because they really believed Psalm 91. You should not be afraid of the darkness and the terrible things that can happen in the night, because God is with you if He is your shelter. That night they went home as usual. When they made a corner, they turned to the corner, they could see their house. Suddenly Julian said, "The lights are on." And Bobby said, "I made sure we put off all the lights." As they came closer to the house, Corina said, "The gate is open." And Laura was very scared and said, "Let's go back to church. Let's go and hide in the park," Bobby said. But Julian, who was like, had to be the boy, the man of the house, he told them, "No, we should not be afraid because we sang Psalm 91. We should not be afraid of the terror of night. We should trust God. We have to go in the house. We cannot sleep anywhere else. Our neighbors, nobody would receive us to sleep overnight because they hate us, because we are Christians. So we have nobody to cry for help to but God." Julian also told them, "We have to go in the house and sleep there." When the grandma, when she left, she told me, "Julian, watch out, the hiding place. Watch out that we are not discovered and put in prison, all of us." Julian was a man of his word, a boy of his word. He did not want his grandmother to be disappointed in him. So he took courage and said, "Let's go in." As soon as they went in, Julian told them that his grandfather, before he died, told him that the secret police likes to come to search the houses for Bibles without a searching warrant. This way it's easier and there is no public scandal. Nobody sees them in the street. So Julian remembered when that happened when he was very small. His grandfather told him to be prepared for that.
Lacrimile
As soon as they went in, Laura screamed, started to cry. She said, my bed was moved in another place. What if somebody is under the bed? I'm very afraid to sleep in the bed. There is somebody, a secret policeman hiding under my bed. Corina was also scared because the wardrobe, she arranged the wardrobe, all the clothes very tidy. Everything was in order, and now the wardrobe was open. All the clothes on the floor. It was a mess. And Corina said, must be people hiding in the house. We have to search every corner before we go to bed. So the four of them went all over the house, opened all the cupboards everywhere, looked under the beds. And when they realized there was nobody there, they decided to have a snack and to go to bed. But Julian had to check the hiding place. His grandmother told him the hiding place, Julian, watch out, nothing happens to the hiding place. So he went to check. Now the hiding place was towards the back of the garden. In the garden there was vine trees, apple trees, there was plum trees, and the hiding place was to look like a simple place to store vegetables, potatoes and onions and pickles. He went in to see if everything was in order, but you had to know and to push a certain wall, certain shelves, and there was a false door behind them. And if you opened the door, there were hiding places very good there. Thousands of Bibles were hidden there. Julian went quickly to see if the place was untouched, undisturbed. And it was undisturbed. He was so released. And he took a bag of potatoes in the house. He did not know that he would use those potatoes very well that night, that they would become very useful. They went in the house. Corina helped the grandmother to bake apple pie. She boiled milk and served everybody with a slice of apple pie. After they ate, Julian took responsibility to encourage them. He read them again, Psalm 91, not to be afraid of the terror of night. And after they prayed, they went to bed. They fell asleep quickly. They were all sound asleep. When, after the middle of the night, the phone rang. Julian woke up quickly, rubbed his eyes, went to the phone. He was the man of the house. He had to be responsible. Answer the phone. At the other line was a man's voice. He said, I want to speak with Mrs. Sfatcu. Julian rubbing his eyes. He said, my grandmother is away on a trip, so she's not here. Oh, the other voice said, I am Colonel Choker from the secret police, and maybe I can ask you the question I wanted to ask her. Where do you hide the Bibles? Where is the hiding place? Julian learned from his grandfather to pretend he doesn't know anything. And he said, what Bibles? I don't know what you're talking about. No hiding place, no Bibles. Then Colonel Choker said, we are going to come and inspect your yard right away, and we'll find them. When we find them, you will all be put in prison. In 15 minutes or so, a car arrived in front of the house. Two men got off. One was a big, strong man. He was Colonel Choka. The other one was shorter. He was Captain McKenny. They had their own keys, and they opened the gate. And they had flashlights with them, but also each one had a stick, very strange looking sticks. All the children went to the windows to look what were they doing. Their hearts beat fast, they were very afraid. And they saw, Corina said, what are they doing with those sticks? They were beating every inch, both Choka and McKenny, the officers from the secret police. They were beating like that, inch by inch, centimeter by centimeter. And Julian said, oh, they must find, they want to look for empty spaces dug underneath for the hiding place. We are finished, he said. We are finished. Unless the Lord helps us, we are finished. They will find out. But then Julian thought of an idea. His grandfather taught him that the secret police never arrests people to cause a public scandal. They do everything in the dark. So they appear good and giving religious freedom to people. Julian prayed about it, and God gave him an idea. He took the bag of potatoes he took from the pantry, from the hiding place. And he took Bobby with him. He said, Bobby, you need to come with me to help me. It's very important. They came out through a very small window, like a bathroom window, with the potatoes in their hands. And they went in front in the garden. There were roses, trees, but also a huge bush, flowery bush. Julian said, let's wake up the neighbors. Let's wake up the dogs of our neighbors. They will help us to escape from the secret policeman. They took one potato after another and threw exactly on the roofs of the people. Immediately the dog started to bark. It was a terrible noise. 5, 6, 7 people, they all had dogs. And all the neighbors woke up and started to inquire, who hit us? Who threw stones on our roof? Who woke our dogs? And they all started to see what's going on. The dogs were barking, woof, 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 woof. It was such a noise. And the neighbors were coming out in pajamas, asking what's wrong, who threw stones on our roof. But it was well-heated potatoes thrown by Julian and Beattie. Then after they stirred up all the neighbors, the secret police did not want to be seen in the yard. Quickly they went in the cart and went back to the secret police. Julian and Beattie went back into the house. They all praised the Lord, because God always saves you when you make Him, the Most High, your shelter.